So thank you. Thank you both for joining. And we are going to continue King Chitraketu's uh, pastime. So last time we were discussing that Nag Muni and Angira Muni were there. They advised him, they left him, gave him a mantra, and now King Chitraketu is going to meet Lord Shesha and the personality of Godhead himself. So upon reaching the shelter of Lord Shesha, the Supreme Personality Godhead, Chitraketu saw that he was white as the white fibers of a lotus flower. He was dressed in bluish garments and adorned with a brilliantly glittering helmet, armlets, belt, and bangles. His face was smiling and his eyes were reddish. He was surrounded by such exalted, liberated person as Sanat Kumar. So when they say Sanat Kumar, they mean all the four Kumaras represented by Sanat Kumar. As soon as Maharaj Chitraketu saw the Supreme Lord, he was cleansed of all material contamination and situated in his original Krishna consciousness. Being completely purified, he became silent and grave, and because of love for the Lord, tears fell from his eyes, and his hair stood on end. With great devotion and love, he offered his respectful obeisances unto the original personality of Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada explains that if one regularly sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the temple, one will gradually be disinfected of all material desires simply by visiting the temple and seeing the deity. When one is freed from all the results of sinful activities, one will be purified, and with a healthy mind, completely cleansed, he will increasingly make progress in Krishna consciousness. So we use everything in the service of Lord Krishna, even our eyes, right? If we use our eyes, which we normally use for seeing mundane material things, if we use them in Krishna's service, seeing the deities, the eyes become purified. If we hear Krishna Katha, our ears become purified. So this purification process takes place when we associate our senses with the Lord. So with tears of love and affection, Chitraketu repeatedly moistened the resting place of the Supreme Lord's lotus feet because his voice was choked in ecstasy. For a considerable time, he was unable to utter any of the letters of the alphabet to offer the Lord suitable prayers. So let's do our prayers. Mukam kroti vachalam pangum langyate grim yat kirpatam mandeshi gurundin taranam paramananda madham shri chaitanya Ishwaram. Hari Om Tassat Narayan Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamuduriyat Nashta Preshav Abdureshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nishtiki. So thereafter, by controlling his mind with his intelligence and thus restricting his senses from external engagements, he recovered suitable words with which to express his feelings. Thus he began offering praise to the Lord, who is the personification of the Holy Scriptures, like the Brahma Samhita and the Narad Pancharatraj, but Narad Pancharatra, and who is the spiritual master of all, he offered his praise as follows. Now this is Chitraketu's praise to the Supreme Lord. O unconquerable Lord, although you cannot be conquered by anyone, you are certainly conquered by devotees who have control of the mind and senses. They can keep you under their control because you are causelessly merciful to devotees who desire no material profit from you. Indeed, you give yourself to them, and because of this, you always have full control over your devotees. So, devotees, although sometimes we do ask for material benefits, but it's best not to ask for anything material. And Krishna is happy with that. Because he'll give you anyway. If you think you need something, he'll give you. The Lord and the devotees both conquer. The Lord is conquered by devotees, and the devotees are conquered by the Lord. Because of being conquered by one another, they both derive transcendental bliss from their relationship. The highest perfection of this material conquering is executed by Krishna and the gopis. So there's example. The gopis never ask for material things. The gopis conquered Krishna and Krishna conquered the gopis. Because whenever Krishna played his flute, he conquered the minds of the gopis. And without seeing the gopis, Krishna could not be happy. Other transcendentalists, such as Gyanis and Yogis, cannot conquer the Supreme Personality Godhead. Only pure devotees can conquer him. So pure devotees are described as sammati, which means that they never deviate from devotion service. They have like balanced minds under any circumstance. This is very important. It is not that devotees worship the Supreme Lord only when happy or when it's Diwali. They worship him even when in distress. Happiness and distress do not hamper the process of devotional service. So devotion service has got nothing to do with whether you're happy or you're sad. That is our eternal duty, our eternal service, our constitutional position. Nothing to do with I'm happy, I shall think of God, and I'm not happy, I will blame God. And this is what people do. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam says that devotion service ahautiki aprahata, unmotivated. So there should not be any reason for devotion service. It should be unmotivated. You shouldn't have any motivation, material motivation. Oh, if I do this, I will get this result. Although we want to go back home, that is okay. Anything, as long as it's spiritual result you want, it's fine. Not material results. And uninterrupted. So it should not depend on our mood, especially our mood. Should not be there that we do service or not. We have to chant every day without fail. When a devotee offers devotional service to the Lord without any motive, it's called anyabhlishita shunyam. No on anyabhlishita. His service cannot be hampered by any material condition. Thus, a devotee who offers service in all conditions of life can conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A special distinction between devotees and other transcendentalists, namely the Gyanis and the Yogis. They are also transcendentalists, but not to that level. So, Gyanis and Yogis artificially try to become one with Supreme, whereas devotees never aspire for such an impossible accomplishment. Because we don't want to become one, we want to serve. We want to stay in our position as servants. We don't want to become God. Devotees know that, whereas devotees never aspire for such an impossible accomplishment, devotees know that their position is to be eternally servants of the Supreme Lord and never to be one with him. Therefore, they are called sammati or jit atma. They detest oneness with the Supreme. They have no lusty desires for oneness. Instead, their desire is to be freed from all material hankering. So that's trying to be one with God is also considered a material hankering. Therefore, they are called nishkam, desireless. A living entity cannot exist without desires, but desires that can never be fulfilled are called kam or lusty desires. So lusty desires can be anything material. Kama stays there, irita jnana. Because of lusty desires, non-devotees are deprived of their intelligence. Thus, they are unable to conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas devotees, being freed from such unreasonable desires, can conquer the Lord, whereas devotees, being freed from such, conquered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such devotees are also conquered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because they are pure, being freed from all material desires, and they fully surrender to the Supreme Lord, and therefore the Lord conquers them. Such devotees never aspire for liberation. They simply desire to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. Because they serve the Lord without desires for remuneration, they can conquer the mercy of the Lord. The Lord is by nature very merciful, and when he sees that his servant is working without desires for plenty of profit, naturally he is conquered. Devotees are always engaged in service. So, Savai Mana Krishna Pad Arvindayo Vachamsi Vaikuntha Guna Anu Varnane. All the activities of the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord. Because of such devotion, the Lord gives himself to his devotees, as they could use him for any purpose they might desire, but they won't. Once they are purified, they don't use it for any purpose. Of course, devotees have no purpose, right, other than to serve. When a devotee fully surrenders and has no aspiration for material profit, the Lord certainly gives him all opportunities for service. This is the position of the Lord when conquered by his devotees. My dear Lord, this cosmic manifestation and its creation, maintenance, and inhalation are all but your opulences. So this is Citraketu saying to the Lord, since Lord Brahma and the other creators are nothing but small portions of a portion of you, their partial power to create does not make them God. Their consciousness of themselves as separate Lord is therefore merely false prestige, and it is not valid. So when they glorify the Lord, they tell him, in their glory, how glorious the Lord is, how he's different from everybody else, how he's the greatest above everyone else. A devotee who has fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord knows very well that the creative energy of the living entities, for Lord Brahma down to the small ant, exists because the living entities are part and parcel of the Lord. So in Bhagavad-Gita, 50.7, the Lord says, Mamemsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. The living entities are nothing but very small portions of the Supreme Spirit, like sparks of a fire. Because they're part of the Supreme, they have a creative quality in a very minute quantity. And this is what we got to remember. And not just remember, having known that we are minute, we must get the service attitude as well. You exist in the beginning, middle, and end of everything. So you were there before us, and you will be there after this world is disillusioned. From the most minute particle of the cosmic manifestation, the atom, to the gigantic universes and total material energy, nonetheless, you are eternal, having no beginning and or middle. You are perceived to exist in these three phases, and thus you are permanent. When the cosmic manifestation does not exist, you exist as the original potency. So it's hard to imagine for us because we are used to having beginning, middle, and end in everything. This is life, right? Everything has a shelf life, has a beginning, has an end, and obviously has a middle for that purpose as well. But in the case of the Lord and his minute particles like us, there is no beginning or end or middle. It's been there forever and will be there forever. And then it's explained. So Maharaj Citraketu, he knows that every universe is covered by 7 layers: earth, water, fire, air, sky, total energy, and false ego, each 10 times greater than the previous one. There are innumerable universes beside this one, and although they are unlimitedly large, they move about like atoms in you. Therefore, you are called unlimited or Ananta. So you can see the largest of the largest. They're still small particles compared to the Lord. O Lord, O Supreme, unintelligent persons who thirst for sense enjoyment and who worship various demigods are no better than animals in the human form of life. So this animals in the human shape of a human being, that's all. Because of their animalistic propensities, they fail to worship your lordship, and instead they worship the insignificant demigods. So basically saying that even though you're worshiping them, because when there is no significant result, you might as well not be worshiping them because you're wasting your time. Because you're going for temporary things, that they will be lost. Demigods will be finished. We will be finished. So we're just going after mundane things. It's just like animals, looking for mundane things. So that's not the purpose of human intelligence. So we know better than animals in that respect. So instead they worship the insignificant demigods who are but small sparks of your glory. With the destruction of the entire universe, including the demigods, the benedictions received from the demigods also vanish, just like the nobility when a king is no longer in power. Or you can see when Rishi Sunak he lost to the Labour Party, all his cabinet didn't mean anything anymore. They had all these people with him. They were very powerful at the time. Once the power is gone, then it just becomes shadow ministers, and the other party has all the power. So these are all temporary things. Whether full of all material desires, free from all material desires, or desiring liberation, a person who has broader intelligence must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. This is the duty of a perfect human being. One who has the shape of a human being, but whose actions are nothing but those of an animal, is called Nar Pashu or Divipad Pashu, a two-legged animal. A human being who is not interested in Krishna consciousness is condemned herewith as a Nar Pashu. Interesting. O Supreme Lord, if persons obsessed with material desires for sense gratification through material opulence worship you, who are the source of our knowledge and are transcendental to material qualities, they're not subject to material rebirth. Just as sterilized or fried seeds do not produce plants, living entities are subjected to the repetition of birth and death because they are conditioned by material nature. But since you are transcendental, one who is inclined to associate with you in transcendence escapes the conditions of the material nature. So it's mentioned here that just as sterilized or fried seeds, so sometimes seeds or say chickpeas, if they are thrown into the ground, they might sprout, right? They sprout. But if you fry them, after frying them, they no longer sprouts. So this is what we do to our karma. We want to fry our karma. We want to fry the seeds of our karma so they don't. And how do we do that? By purifying ourselves, by devotional service, by chanting. We fry and listen to Bhagavatam. It's very important. We will fry our karma. Even those who are obsessed with material desires may also come to worship the Spirit Personality Godhead so steadily that they go back to Godhead. The fact is that one comes to Krishna consciousness. Although he may have many material desires, he becomes increasingly attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna through associating with the Supreme Lord by chanting his holy name. The Supreme Lord and his holy name are identical. Thus he becomes uninterested in attachment to material enjoyment. The perfection of life is to be uninterested in material enjoyment and interested in Krishna. If one comes to Krishna consciousness somehow or other, even for material gain, the result is that he will be liberated. Kama Dvesad Bayat Sanayat. Whether for the satisfaction of material desires, because of the influence of envy, because of fear, because of affection, or because of any other reason, if one comes to Krishna, his life is successful. Or unconquerable one, when he spoke about Bhagavad Dharma, which is the uncontaminated religious system for achieving the shelter of your lotus feet, that was your victory. Persons who have no material desires, like the Kumaras, who are self-satisfied sages, worship you to be liberated from material contamination. In other words, they accept the process of Bhagavad Dharma to achieve shelter at lotus feet. So the Kumaras were besides the Lord, so naturally Citraketu Maharaj, has been a king. He knows the etiquettes. He thought he would glorify the Kumaras as well, because since they were there. A devotee following the principles of Bhagavad Dharma feels very much obligated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can understand the difference between life without Bhagavad Dharma and life with Bhagavad Dharma, and thus he ever remains obliged to the Lord. Taking to Krishna consciousness and bringing fallen souls to Krishna consciousness is victory for Lord Krishna. Savaipum samparo dharmo yato bhakti adokshaje ahautaki pratithata ya yatma suprasiddhati. So the supreme occupation or dharma of all humanity is by which man can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. So this is Bhagavatam 1.2.6 is the pure transcendental process of religion. So unmotivated, uninterrupted. It's very important. So we have issues in our lives, we get problems in our life, but sometimes we have health issues, we have other issues, but according to your capacity and your circumstances, you can't, have to keep that connection with the Lord. It's not like I'm not in the mood right now, when I'll come back to you in a month or 2 months or a year. No, you have to continue. The bhakti has to be continued always. There is no holiday in Krishna's house. No such thing as a day off. Every day is a duty. This duty has to be done. Just like, we take shower as a devotee, we take shower every day. We eat, we have to evacuate, we have to speak, we do so many things in a day. And this is also one service that has to be done every day. A service in chanting and hearing Krishna Katha, hearing our chanting, glorifying the Lord. These things, they have to be done every day. Just by going to Sunday Sangha once a week is not enough. Service has to be done every day. If we think we can just go to program once a week and we done our bhakti, like people, they go to temple on a Tuesday, right? It's Mata ka Din, Hanumanji's day. They go there, take prasad, do the arati, and that's it. They're done for the week, right? That's it. The bhakti is done. And we've all been there, not probably even go every week, to be honest, but we have been there. But that is not enough. If you want self-realization, if you want to understand that you are a spirit soul, then you have to start behaving like a spirit soul, like we're doing. So unless you behave like a particular thing, you won't understand it. You have to get into that role, that actor. You have to become that actor. You have to get into the role, inside the role. We are spirit soul, and what is the duty of spirit soul? So we have to get into the role and do it every day, keep doing. And suddenly we will become that. We really become that. First we act, and then we become that. So thank you all so much. Thank you for joining. My Father Loji, Mother Shamsundar Prabhu, Praveen Mataji, and Sarvashriya Mataji. Love to hear from you all. Sarvashriya Mataji, please let us know. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Well, in this, what we just heard is about Citraketu, and he was glorifying the Lord. When he seen the Lord, he started glorifying with his mind, body, and words. That's how when we pray to Krishna, we should use our mind, body, and words. But I know we I'm talking personally myself. My body word are there, but mind just flicks here and there. So we try to concentrate. Mind is the main thing. And he was glorifying the Lord by different ways, and we can learn how to glorify Krishna and praise him. He said, "You are eternal." Yeah, because Krishna has no beginning, no middle, no end. He's always exists. I mean, we have different bodies. He has got the same body. And Brahma says in Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidanand Vigraha. His body is Sachidanand. Adir Adir. Govind Sabkaram, cause of all causes. And the Supreme Lord, he's conquered by pure devotees that like just Citraketu, he conquered the Lord. To, to conquer the Lord, you have the Lord of, to conquer, people worship demigod. Sorry, I lost it. No, it's very important to conquer the Lord. And if to conquer the Lord, you have to purify your senses and use all your senses and your activities, and all the activities should be engaged in the service of the Lord. And by such a devotion, the Lord gives himself to the devotees like he became charioteer to Arjuna. So if you do give yourself to Krishna, Krishna give himself to the devotees as well. And people worship demigods for material desires, and because everybody wants to enjoy in this material world. This material world is for enjoyment, and they do not know, they haven't got intelligent that demigods will be vanquished when the material manifestation will be annihilated. That means when the world is annihilated, the demigod perishes well. So everything is temporary. Only Krishna is eternal. So all your desires and everything perishes. That's why Krishna says, always worship him. Whether you have material desires or no desire, anything, in all circumstances, you should worship the Supreme Lord. Then your life will be successful. Because if you worship Krishna, you might not finish in this life, but you will get chance in the next life to continue. You won't be annihilated. One should follow the Bhagavad Dharma. Krishna says, then you can conquer Krishna. This Krishna is conquered by good gopis, and is conquered by Mother Yashoda, which are reading now. The easily conquered by Krishna is under their desires, and whatever the superior than Krishna in that way, in loving way, exchanging love. One should follow the Bhagavad-Gita, that is Krishna, surrender to Krishna and follow the instruction. How to surrender to Krishna, that means we have to follow the instruction. Krishna gives instruction, Bhagavad-Gita, how to follow, and all Karam Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. So these are the instruction, and that is Bhagavad Dharma. And here the Katha from Srimad Bhagavatam, that is Bhagavad Dharma as well. And if you conquer the Lord, you can then see the God. I mean, we can't see the Lord without material eyes, very hard, unless you purify our activities, our senses, our desires, because we are under the clutches of Maya. And the holy name of the Lord is so powerful that sometimes if you are sincere, very without any offenses, if you hear the Lord's name, you can purify the lowest of men, like we have heard about Valmiki. I mean, he had from Narad Muni the pure name of the Lord, but he was officeless, and he conquered Krishna. He became a very nice poet, and he wrote Ramayana. So it's all down to our body, our word, our senses. If we can control our senses and apply all these to Lord Krishna, then we can have a better future in the next life. If we can't go to Krishna, then you might have a better take birth and better place. So you continue always. Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, if you never fail, if you can't succeed in this life, you're going to get chance in the next life until you reach to Krishna. So Citraketu, he did it, and he seen Krishna face to face, and so unless your mind, your senses purified, your activities are purified, and you love for Krishna, you are very sincere, then you can see Krishna. But we can't see Krishna. But never mind, we can't see Krishna. Let Krishna see us. That's the mind thing. Prabhupada always says, don't bother about seeing Krishna. Let Krishna see you. And that is more important than you see Krishna. If Krishna see you, what he's doing is more important than never think of seeing Krishna. We see Krishna in the photos or deity worship, and we see Krishna. But let Krishna see what you're doing, how you praying to Krishna, and then your life will be very successful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mali. Thank you so much. Yeah, wonderful points there. And you mentioned the Bhagavad Dharma or Bhagavad Seva. When I'm praying, Nasta Prashabdureshu, Nityam Bhagavad Sevya. So this Bhagavad Sevya, we have to do Nityam. We have to do every day. And please pray. We want to do Srimad Bhagavatam every day because that is how it should be done. It should be done every day, not once a week. It should be done every day. So we want to do every day, like Praveen Mataji and the team are doing in the morning. Chaitanya Charitamrita every day, like that. We're going to do every day because we have to constantly stay in contact with this spiritual energy all the time. It's our protection. Because material energy is very strong, so we have to hold on to the spiritual energy that it provides us with protection. So we can do that, but it has to be done nityam. We are saying nityam Bhagavad Sevya. So Bhagavad is anything that is related with the Lord, and Bhagavatam is the Lord Himself. Is the literary incarnation. So very important to hold on to the lotus feet of the Lord. And yes, and you mentioned about the demigods. This shows that demigods are material, their boons are material, and one day when all the material existence is destroyed, or everything material will be destroyed, so will the demigods, and their boons also will be destroyed. So, these all we ask for temporary things when we can ask for permanent things. So why we do that? Thank you so much, Mataji. Praveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the class. I think it's a very nice topic. We heard on Diwali time, the glories of the devotional service. And we are so fortunate to have the human life, which is like we have to go through 8.4 million species, and we are so fortunate to have this life, and we have to use for the perfection of life to attain the Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Prem, and we have to engage all our senses, like you said, like seeing the deities in the temple. It's very purifying. It eradicates all our sins, and we have to do all the things that are favorable in our Krishna consciousness and avoid things that are unfavorable. And devotional service is like our eternal duty, our constitutional position, and it has to be unmotivated, unadulterated, and really like the two shlokas we learned from Bhakti Rasamrit, Anyabilashita Shunyam and Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam. So we have to, I think, reflect on them every day to check that, like, we are going away from the material desires and having only spiritual desires, how to serve Krishna. And we do see, like, it is so blissful when we are engaged in the service. Like yesterday, because Priya had few days off, and then I said, okay, let's just go to the Coventry Temple to take darshan, to take mithai, to offer to the Lord. So we quickly went, but I knew we short because they close at 11. But I had the desire. We got there 5 minutes before, but the gate door was locked. So I rang the pujari, and he said, okay, Mataji, no problem, I'll open the door. And we were there for an hour. And he said, no rush, just sit down. Then I said, Priya, okay, you can play Mridanga. And he said, okay, sing. And she did Kirtan, and then she did Aarti. And then other the people came. And this person came and he was very distressed. He was saying his father is critically ill and he's A&E. And then he started, my life is a mess, got divorced, I've got a 9-year-old son. And then I said, you just have to surrender to the Lord. So we sat there talking to him for 20-25 minutes. I picked up Bhagavad-Gita, showed him, how, because he doesn't know Hindi. I said, well, it's all in English, you can read it. And it just felt like that was the perfection of my day yesterday. So I could like tell somebody about, what is the right path. And I told him, I said, it's not easy, but it is the right path. Because in the beginning, it is hard to get up. You have to do your chanting. You have to read, And he was so, full of gratitude, and he just couldn't thank enough. And then he spoke to Priya as well, it's very nice. You're learning. You played very well. And then the best thing he said was, I want my son to read it as well. I said, how old is your son? 9. And I said, I'm really happy. You're thinking of your 9-year-old. So I'm hoping to go back, and because I took his number so we could share the link with him. And so then I'll take a copy with him, a copy for him, because we realize he's out of work as well. So I thought, no, I'll just go and give a copy. And like last weekend here in Solihull, they organized, I think it's the South Indian people, they organized Diwali program. And I was looking forward to us because I don't normally get to go anywhere apart from like our sanghas. I said, okay, Priya, I want to go. And then I was tidying up. Then I realized I've got so many copies of Bhagavad-Gita. I said, you know what, I'm going to go book distribution. Because I did ask them for permission and we didn't get it. And I said, I'm just going to distribute Gitas. And Priya didn't say anything. So I was so happy. I said, oh, she's not objecting. Because like before, she used to, like in Leicester, I'll see that Mataji and I used to stand with her singing. And she said, oh, Mom, stop it. You can't do this. And she didn't object. So I put 5 copies in my handbag. Prabhuji, they were gone in 5 minutes. Then I said, ring dad to bring more, And so I told him, I said, wait until the care has been, then you can drop more copies. So he brought 6, but then by that time program had finished. But I still managed, he brought 7 and managed to give 6 more, 11 copies I managed to distribute. And again, it was such a good, feeling that, and then even Priya was talking to people, she was showing, you got all the answers, reading Bhagavad Gita and how important it is. And then she was saying, for the people who were not taking it, she said, for Diwali, start reading Bhagavad Gita. And I was so happy. I said, well, thank you, Priya, for joining. So Prabhuji, yeah, I managed to, I asked for donation as well. Because some people, I said, well, it's a gift. But if you want to make a donation, then we can buy more books and we can distribute. So I would like your advice. I haven't asked anybody else. I managed to get 48 pounds. But I'm thinking, can I use that Lakshmi to get more Bhagavad Gitas for distribution, or I should give it to ISKCON?
But so those books were your own, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you can do whatever you want with them. Yes, use it in Krishna service. So that's not, if you buy more Bhagavad-Gitas, then you are distributing more Bhagavad-Gitas. So that's not a problem. I mean, they were temple.
Yes, yeah, because some people, no, they were not. No, they were my original copy. My copies are bought.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'll keep it and I'll get some more, and then it keeps you in service as well, and then more people will benefit.
Well, it's very nice
So
we
yeah.
learn from you. I
Sorry,
think
I just
how
got.
to distribute books because you are well ahead of us. Distribute so many, and in the month of Kartik,
No.
distribute so you're gonna get so much.
Yes, and then I was telling people as well, like like somebody gave me £10. I said, well, you'll get benefit of like donating 10,000 really, because this is special month. Then I took their details as well, so we can put them on because like half of the people I gave them are living in Solihull. So I said you can come to the programs, and then one I gave, she was a Christian girl, because she said, oh yeah, oh I've read it in school. I said, well, do you remember any teaching? She said, no. I said, well then, laughingly, I said, I think you need to read it again. She said, oh no, but I'm Christian. I said, no, this is universal. And I said, it's a gift from me to you. I didn't ask for any donation from her. So I said, no, please take it. And all I'll say is don't bin it. Even if you just keep it on the shelf for 1 year, 2 years,
Give
10
to
years,
somebody
20 years.
else. Just give to somebody
Yeah,
else. Doesn't
yeah.
matter.
So I said, and she said, no, I'll definitely read it. And then I don't know what happened to my mind, because when the program finished, because then we had to come indoors, and then there was a security guard. They were only taking people, letting people go that way, people who were there for that festival. And I just said to him, oh, would you like to have a copy of Bhagavad-Gita? Then my mind said, he's Muslim, So yeah, I was having this conversation with then we started looking. I said, by the way, what's your religion? He said, oh, I'm Muslim. I said, okay. No, I said, no, that's okay. And then he said, oh no, I would like to read. So what it's all about? So I just briefly told him, oh, that's way of living. And oh, I'll definitely read it. Again, I said, please don't bin it.
Yeah.
So I gave him as well. And, it was so nice to give a copy to a Muslim guy. And he was so happy. And he said, yeah, no, I'll definitely read it. And I gave my number. I said, if you have any questions, you can send it to me. I'll get answers from our senior.
You're going to get the golden ticket back home.
Thank you, Prabhuji. No, but it doesn't matter what, at least we are doing the right thing,
Yes.
So,
Well done, Madhuri. Well done.
no, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. Yeah, so even today, like we are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, you said, like we did chapter 6, Glories of Advaita Acharya. And in the purports, again, Srila Prabhupada emphasized devotional service and how emotions of devotees are regarded as the highest. And Krishna, he's not happy, like we read all the incarnations are Vishnu Tattvas, and even they are worshipping Krishna as devotees. So that is devotional service is the highest, and Krishna is so happy with the devotees. He is not happy with somebody who's his equal, and we are like part and parcel of Krishna. So it explains like we are fractions or part of Krishna, and the part is always inferior to superior. And when we serve the superior, we get the pleasure.
Yeah.
So we have to be in that position. Because I think I got my answers. Because they say you can have any relationship, and I used to, although we understand our constitutional position is to be the servant of the Lord, but I still used to think, oh, do I want to be friend, or do I want Krishna to be or I want to be mother, Bal Gopal. But now I got the answer. No, we are just servants, so only servants. So we are happy just as being servants of the Lord.
Thank you, Motherji. Okay, I'm just going to ask Radharani to.
Sorry,
You want to
carry
add
on.
something? Then we go to do some. I have to
Yes.
go to work. So we'll ask
Sorry.
to add anything, and then we'll do some chanting.
I think that's why I like book distribution, because I can talk.
I love book. Actually, I'm also thinking I need to get out and do some book
No, you
distribution.
come to Solihull. We'll go together, Prabhuji. You come here. Because here there is a lot of crowd, because they're all South Indian people and they are into religion.
They
I think
are.
asking you this is a good spot. That's what I realized.
But I think it's your own potency. You can distribute to anyone. You just need. I think you have the potency here of distribution, because if there's somebody not going to take it, it doesn't matter who it is, they won't take it. But if it's, I think it has to be the right person at the right time. That's the very.
Yeah, but I got like a few comments very quickly. I'll share about the font. The people, it's very, because that's what I said, because I am disappointed as well, because Prabhupada ji had a good standard. So I did mention it to somebody before as well. We just have to look into this. So I don't know if you know anybody who we can speak to, if we can do something about the font, because now I've realized they're getting smaller and smaller. So I just said, I totally agree, because my eyesight is not good. And it does make a difference, if the font is good. Like the copies I got now for Bhagavatam, I got the big ones. These were display ones, but it's really good, font, really big ones.
Yeah, I mean, before, when we had the temple, we used to have the bigger Bhagavad-Gitas.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, I've got those original ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at one time we had these.
Yeah. Sorry,
These.
it's not very clear from. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
I've got a couple of copies of these. Yeah.
Yeah, like this one.
Yeah.
And then we had another size, and now we got really mini size. But I think maybe the mini sizes so people can keep it with them.
That's exactly what I said. I said this is a travel size. I said I keep it in my handbag when I go on holiday. So that's I said the positive things as well. I said, well, we can just carry with us, so it's not big to carry.
Yeah.
So no, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thanks, Mataji. Okay, let's do a couple of rounds. Swashi Mataji, then Praveen Mataji. Hari Bol.